Black Myth, Wukong, a game that took the industry by storm when it was first revealed in 2020. With its breathtaking visuals and action-packed gameplay, it instantly became one of the most anticipated titles of the decade. But with such high expectations, can it really deliver? Or is it just another overhyped action RPG? Stick around as we dive deep into this stunning world, explore its highs and lows, and answer the question, is Black Myth, Wukong truly one of the best action games of 2024? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to stay updated on all things gaming. Today, we're reviewing Black Myth, Wukong, a game that has been on everyone's radar since its jaw-dropping reveal. But before we dive into the review, let's talk a bit about the game's background and what makes it so special. Based on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, Black Myth, Wukong brings to life the legendary tale of the Monkey King. Developed by Game Science, a relatively new studio, the game sets itself apart with its unique blend of martial arts-based combat and a story-driven experience. But, with the Souls-like genre being as popular as it is, Black Myth, Wukong had a lot to prove. Could it stand out in a sea of similar titles, or would it simply be another game riding the wave of the genre's popularity? I'll admit, I was cautiously optimistic when I first saw the trailers. The game looked incredible, but we've all been burned before by games that look amazing in previews but fall short on release. However, after spending hours with this game, I can confidently say that Black Myth, Wukong not only meets expectations but exceeds them in many ways. Let's start with the story and setting. Black Myth, Wukong takes a more straightforward approach to storytelling compared to other Souls-like games. If you're a fan of Elden Ring or Dark Souls, where you have to piece together the lore through item descriptions and cryptic NPC dialogues, you might find Black Myth, Wukong refreshingly simple. The game opts for a more traditional narrative style, with clear cutscenes and dialogue that drive the story forward. Personally, I found this approach quite enjoyable. It's nice to have a game that doesn't require a deep dive into a wiki to understand what's going on. The story is uncomplicated, making it accessible to a wider audience. That's not to say the story is shallow, far from it. The protagonist's journey is filled with adrenaline-fueled moments, intricate cutscenes, and even a touch of humor. It's a story that keeps you engaged without overwhelming you with too much complexity. Now, let's talk about the combat, one of the game's biggest selling points. Black Myth, Wukong draws heavy inspiration from games like Bloodborne, focusing on fast-paced, reaction-based combat. The emphasis is on quick dodges, swift attacks, and precise timing. The difficulty ramps up as you progress, with each enemy type requiring different tactics to defeat. But the core combat loop remains the same: attack, dodge, manage stamina, and attack again. But what really sets Black Myth, Wukong apart is its variety of combat options. You've got your trusted staff, which can be upgraded as you progress through the game. But it doesn't stop there. The game introduces different stances: smash, pillar, and thrust, each with its own unique moves and strategies. I found myself gravitating towards the smash stance for its straightforward, hard-hitting attacks. But the other stances offer some really cool moves that can be game changers depending on the situation. As you defeat enemies, you earn experience points that can be used to unlock new abilities within these stances. The skill tree allows for some degree of customization, letting you tailor your character's abilities to your preferred playstyle. And if you ever feel like you've made a mistake, the game lets you reset your points and redistribute them, giving you the flexibility to adapt to new challenges as they arise. Aside from the melee combat, Black Myth, Wukong also introduces a variety of magical spells and transformations that add another layer to the gameplay. Whether it's freezing enemies in place, summoning doppelgangers, or transforming into powerful forms with unique abilities, the magic system in Black Myth, Wukong is both fun and functional. Most of these spells are time-based, but with the right investments, you can extend their duration or increase their impact. I had a blast experimenting with these abilities, especially during the tougher boss fights where every advantage counts. The spells offer a nice change of pace from the regular combat and add some much-needed variety to the gameplay. And trust me, you'll need all the help you can get when facing off against the game's many bosses. Speaking of bosses, let's dive into what might be the most thrilling aspect of Black Myth, Wukong, the boss fights. The game features a wide range of bosses, from relatively easy encounters to battles that will test your patience and skill. Each boss has its own unique move set and attack patterns, requiring you to carefully observe and adapt your strategy to succeed. I won't lie, some of these fights can be downright frustrating. There were moments where I had to step back, reassess my approach, and tweak my skills to finally overcome a particularly challenging boss. But that's part of the fun. The game pushes you to learn from your mistakes, and the sense of accomplishment when you finally bring down a tough boss is incredibly satisfying. Now, let's talk about world design and exploration. Black Myth, Wukong starts off with a largely linear level design but opens up into larger, more open spaces as you progress. These areas are perfect for farming items and engaging in optional boss encounters. However, the game does have one significant drawback: it lacks any kind of navigation or map tools. I'm all for unassisted exploration, but a complete lack of navigation tools can be frustrating, especially when you're trying to explore optional areas or backtrack to find hidden secrets. It's by far one of the game's few notable flaws and something that might annoy players who prefer a bit more guidance in their exploration. That said, the world itself is beautifully crafted, with a stunning variety of environments to explore. From lush green forests to vast deserts and snow-covered landscapes, Black Myth, Wukong excels in visual diversity. Each area feels distinct, and the attention to detail in the environment design is truly impressive. Speaking of visuals, Black Myth, Wukong is an absolute feast for the eyes. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game delivers some of the most stunning visuals I've seen in an action RPG. The character models, the intricate designs of the bosses, and the dynamic lighting all contribute to a visually rich experience. I played the game on PC, and while I couldn't maintain a solid 60 frames per second, the performance was generally stable, hovering around 30 to 45 FPS. The occasional dip in frame rate didn't detract too much from the overall experience, but it's something to keep in mind if you're planning to play on a lower-end system. Backing up these incredible visuals is an equally impressive soundtrack. The music, especially during boss fights, does a fantastic job of ramping up the tension and reminding you of the stakes involved. The audio design, from the sound of clashing weapons to the environmental effects, is top-notch and adds to the immersive experience. The localization is also worth mentioning. The dialogue is well delivered, and the voice acting, especially in the cutscenes, adds depth to the characters. The occasional bit of humor sprinkled throughout the game is a nice touch and helps to lighten the mood when things get intense. Finally, let's talk about the progression system. Like many action RPGs, Black Myth, Wukong follows a familiar formula: you earn experience, level up, unlock skill points, and use those points to make your character stronger. In addition to skill points, you also collect in-game currency, which can be used to buy items like medicines and buffs. There's also a crafting system in place, allowing you to build new armor parts as you progress through the game. However, this system is fairly simplistic, and the armor parts unlock automatically, so you won't need to hunt for crafting materials as you would in other RPGs. For players who enjoy fine-tuning their gear and stats, this might be a bit of a letdown. But for those who prefer a more streamlined experience, it works just fine. So, after spending countless hours in the world of Black Myth, Wukong, what's the final verdict? In short, this game is a must-play for any action RPG fan. It delivers on its promise with engaging combat, a rewarding skill system, and some of the best production values you'll see in a game this year. Sure, it has its flaws. The lack of navigation tools and the somewhat simplistic progression system might not be to everyone's taste, but these issues are minor compared to everything the game does right. Black Myth, Wukong is an experience that's as thrilling as it is visually stunning, and it's easily one of the best action games you can play in 2024. That's all for today's review. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more gaming content. What are your thoughts on Black Myth, Wukong? Have you played it yet? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.